technology systems. Out of these 41, 9 systems are only categorized in the precast. 12 systems are categorized in the cast in situ structural system. The system is based on a different type of construction framing system, and 6 systems are shortlisted in the steel, light gauge as well as steel structure system, and 13 are in the prefabricated panel. I would like to emphasize that we should not discriminate the testing only for precast system, because the necessity of the experiments or the testing is to ascertain the reproducibility with that technology on a mass scale. So it's not only the technology which will play a vital role, but also the skill set which will be used to reproduce that technology on the ground is essentially required. And during the testing, we will get quantification as well as certification or validation covering all these points. So I would request CPWD officers to think over this and to not discriminate between the type of system as far as making mandatory for the testing.
Okay. Well, who next?
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Yogesh ji. Your point has been noted.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Please ask questions and give your comments.
दिवाकर जी, I have a question that how can I जो आपने OM में system सब डाली है, how can I consider the
Identify yourself. Who's this?
Kindly introduce yourself.
Dinesh Pawar from Coffer Construction.
Okay.
Sir, वो 25 number में is put up like a structural stay in place for galvanized steel formwork system in situ.
Please continue.
मेरा जो कॉफर टेक्नोलॉजी है that we called it as a structural stay in place system, so it's covered in this all because there is no general name of the company or nothing is there. So how can we recognize in which category our system is going?
You got his comments also, na? The same one, offered.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो उसको देखते हैं.
We'll look into this.
Hello.
We have got your comments through email also. So
Okay.
we will look into this.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Sir, I am. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, I am MM Roy from Reliable Building Solutions. We are into insulated concrete formwork. And perhaps what Dr. Murthy was saying, we are into monolithic, basically monolithic construction system where the formwork is insulated. So like Gupta Saab from Leh was mentioning the problem of concrete curing during that short period of time that Leh is open for construction. So we are into that kind of a system which can manage these low temperature concrete curing.
Good.
Our problem is, or rather the question is, we are a small company. Now, like the testing methodology that Dr. Murthy was mentioning is very huge investment oriented because it consists of creating a 3-storied structure and then doing the testing, which in itself is a massive kind of a testing, which will need a huge amount of investment. So
as I understand, you are providing providing the formwork only, is it? You provide the formwork which is utilized for making cast in situ buildings, is it?
That's right, sir. That is right.
Okay. So that will be much simpler affair, I think. So you can give your details to our CSQ this thing address, and we will see what can be done. I don't think there should be much of a problem as far as cast, because ultimately you are making cast in situ buildings.
That's right.
Only the formwork is insulated rather than being a normal formwork.
That's
so
right. So
it can be utilized for these harsh cold climates kind of. So it's a different situation. We will see. It should not be a problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Samir Bapat, you want to ask something?
Hi, this is Samir Bapat here. I am from Utinor Formworks System. So we are a French company with a setup in India for the last 8 years now. We are into supplying all kinds of system formworks. Pertaining to today's discussion, the system formwork which we have registered is called as tunnel formwork system, which is used to do cast in situ construction. So first of all, let me begin with thanking CPWD for taking up this wonderful initiative for popularizing new technologies in India, more particularly Mr. Rai and Mr. Agarwal. Now, I have a query only in terms of the process which you have prescribed for qualification of the contract. Is the contractor or the agency has to have used the system before they propose to use any of the projects. So this I thought was kind of we are defeating the whole idea where we want to popularize the construction or we want to popularize the technology for such a construction. Because unless we invite newer people to come forward and use this technology, we will be restricted to only those people who have used such a system in the past, which in India, the penetration is anyways very minimal at this level. So I would request to do away with this pre-qualification condition and keep it open as far as the availability and the technology being known to the vendor is concerned. We can always make the technology provider a partner in such an endeavor where anyways, at least I can speak for myself that we always make sure that our team does the hand holding with any execution agency, at least till the period where they become comfortable using it forward. So that's a request, sir.
इनकी टेक्नोलॉजी कौन सी
टनल फॉर्म
टनल फॉर्म वर्क है सर.
It would in general be hand holding along with some other contractor who will be the main contractor. That's what I understand. Is it not?
That's right, sir. And
that contractor would have had some experience because in general we are finding that in private sector,
yes,
lot of these technologies have already been adopted.
Correct.
So I don't think there should be a problem. Anyway, we have noted down what you are saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Kindly mail your
Comments.
I will do so. I will do so, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I would like to make a comment. Am I allowed, sir? Manjula Indian from Senior Architect from Chennai.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, I am Senior Architect Manjula Indian from SDG Office PRC Chennai. I have so far worked with 3 different technology buildings. One is a transit complex where we did 2 buildings, PEB structures. And right now in Jipmer housing and for hostels, we are doing my-one constructions. And we are right now on another technology precast in composite block of NIT Karaikal. What I found out from architect's point of view is that just for the sake of doing a technology, we are just adopting the buildings without even knowing about the functionality of the building. For example, the boys hostel at a transit complex, it was not aesthetically pleasing as it was the other 2 hostels were, because the structures, the members were just exposed and it didn't look like a real hostel. And it's in elevations we could see the members. There was no castings done, and it's a very important thing. And another thing, for the very idea of cost overrun and time overrun, which we are thinking that these structures would help, it is not actually happening. Example is Jipmer housing. Yesterday I had been to the site. 6 months before I had been there, almost the same status, the many buildings are there. Still it is just the ground level. So the very idea of going for a my-one with all the cost overrun and time cost saving and time saving, it's not happening at ground level. So I really request the DG office to make a third party audit, a technological audit. Is it really helping? Is it really what we are trying to, whether our objectives are really met with? A conventional building, we would have by this time would have finished and the people would have occupied. So the social audit, the building are still not ready for occupation. I don't know when they're going to be ready. And the third point is, as sir was mentioning, Professor IIT, about the Seismic. The third precast building, which we are doing almost 2.5 lakhs of square feet of thing. Now he's just saying that Seismic, it may not be working. So we are really concerned. So which software would help us? Now it's really putting us in a stress. I mean, I think in the same board, my SC is there, the team industry, the agency is there. So everybody is hearing you, sir. We are really concerned. So for the sake of adopting a technology, let us just introspect, just make a national level audit, whether we are really achieving our objectives. Is it really good? I mean, I'm not against technology, rather I really would love to have the technology, provided it achieves the objectives which we are aiming at. This is my humble request, sir. Please. Thank you.
Okay.
Please ask her to share her experience in writing, so that.
Sure, I'll do it, sir. I'll do it. I'll send the mail to the concern.
What you have experienced, please share with us through mail or some letter form.
Sure, sir. I'll do it, sir. This is really concern, sir, and I'm sure everybody would share the similar concerns in all parts of the country. It's certainly because it's not, we are not.
Okay. We have noted. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next is Mr. Samir, is it?
He has
raised his hand. Yeah. He has spoken.
So sorry, I have finished actually. I will take it off.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, this is Bipin Kulkarni from BG Shirke Construction Technology. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Sir, firstly, we highly appreciate this, the intent of bringing out these OMs for technology neutral tenders. But having said that, a couple of points need to be thought over. The intent is very clear that the preference will be given to mode EPC mode 1 and EPC mode 2. Wherein these will be sort of design build tenders, wherein engineering and the architectural part or even the services part would be designed by the bidders. But a lot of discretion still remains for going for EPC mode 3. So then again, that defeats the very purpose of bringing out such a technology neutral OM. So the request was that if we could have a clear mandate wherein tenders above say 100 crores were to be mandatorily brought out on the EPC mode 1 or 2. So then it would be, because we have seen over the last 1 or 2 years, what has happened is that people just select a particular technology and then the other technologies are just, left to trying to follow up with the CPWD or other authorities, and nothing happens. And then there is a big loss of opportunity. So on the one hand, at the national level, we are talking of technology promotions and all of the associated benefits, etc. And we are left high and dry, having invested so heavily in technologies, and large tenders are being brought out only with a certain technology. So if we can mandate that, and on the other end, there is a small table also in the OM which says that the tender has to specify which technology, that is table 1A, 1B or 2, that way. So even that should be left, the selection of the technology, appropriate technology, should be left to the bidder, as far as you have already mandated certain conditions for a technology to qualify for certain works. So as far as it qualifies, or the technology qualifies for that work, it should be fine, rather than specifying. Then the whole purpose of this thing is lost. The
Mr.
intent
Kulkarni,
is lost.
that technology is to be specified by the bidder only. That is quite clear. Don't worry. No, it is very clear.
Sir, it is.
Don't worry. That technology is to be specified by the bidder only. Okay.
Sir, if I may, if you permit, sir, because there is a clear this thing that it is either table 1A, /1B or /2.
Yes. Yeah.
So then,
you are saying okay. Acha, so you are saying that even that should also be left. Acha, within that table also you. Acha. ठीक है, चलो ठीक है, देखते हैं. See, there is a certain issue. There are certain, in some cases it is required to specify because the building is to be made in a certain way. We'll see. We get your point. Okay. We have noted your concern.
I have two more points, sir. One is even in the eventuality where a tender is brought out on EPC mode 3, wherein a consultant is appointed and he has designed the structure and obviously the architecture is done. So in that case also, if we could have the possibility of exploring going with other technology, because I don't want to quote very clear examples, but we have seen wherein we could have brought in a lot of economies of this thing into tenders. So if the technology is fitting into that requirement, even that option, even for EPC mode 3, is it possible to explore, sir? And sir, one last point, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
May I, sir?
okay, finish करिए, हाँ बताइए.
Please, please.
Sir, in the SOPs for the eligibility, it is sought to restrict the eligibility of works, that is the experience, to a work of say 1,000 crores. That means the maximum qualification eligibility required is 400 crores, 3 works, or 600 crores. So that means effectively what? If someone is quoting for a 5,000 crore works and he has done a 800 crore work, he qualifies for that. So isn't that in contravention of the CVC norms of 40, 60, 80 for all works?
ठीक है, और चलिए, और कुछ?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay.
Kindly send your comments on mail.
Sir, I'm S.K. Srivastava, Chief Engineer from CPWD. My question is to Dr. Murthy, sir. I wanted to ask, like in the soap industry, people, the poor wants a bigger soap and the rich want a moisturizer in the soap. That's the requirement. In between the space, there are people who come out with lemon in the soap and neem in the soap, which is most of the things are very little relevant. Similarly, in the technological space also, a lot of people are coming up with new technologies for the sake of technology, not a real technology, which is going to benefit us. So what should be done in the country to propel growth of real technology than the superficial ones, like shuttering or curing, etc., that we are talking about? Thank you, sir.
Ji. Sir, when we talk of technology, my first and only expectation is safety. बाकी सब आप लोग you will handle all of it. मेरा जिम्मेदारी है सेफ्टी का, क्योंकि सुरक्षा के बगैर बाकी सब जान है तो जहान है. Now you want to hasten up the speed of construction. There are many things. What I have noticed personally when I did the Jodhpur campus, if the client does not change the goalpost every 2 months, 3 months, then the construction will happen in time and sometimes before time. Most often we don't make up our mind and cause trouble to the construction company or CPWD, which is the PMC for us. I am very clear that we have to do, as General Patton said, you have to do a lot of planning before you start execution. And moment you execute, you should just go like a song without waiting for anything. The only concerns that we have, sometimes labor issue, sometimes material issue. Barring that, I think rest of it has to be frozen ahead of time. Okay, now coming down to the second aspect. If we reduce the inventory in that project, you will do faster construction. Third, if we reduce the number of variabilities in the formworks, you will do faster construction. So that I can go on like this 100 items that we can talk about where we can increase the speed by being very simple in our design, in our approach. Safety is one item I don't want to compromise, right? You talked about soaps. The first and only requirement of all soaps is when you apply the soap, it should not cause burns in your body. After that, all soaps are correct, depending on your capability. That is what I'm asking. No technology should cause safety loss. Rest of it is acceptable. Now, as I said before, if safety has to be examined, it takes time. And that is why I'm saying, let us have a roadmap for 2 technologies a year. In 5 years, we will have 10 technologies. In 20 years, we'll have 40 technologies. But I don't want to have 40 technologies today. I want to have 2 technologies tested, verified. If required, we can build more labs across the country. Now, somebody raised a question about cost and so on. Let me be honest, 20 lakh crores annual infrastructure outlay for the country. And I don't think that the cost that we are going to put in these tests is anywhere, fifth decimal maybe nahi aayega in the percentage. So this is not at all to be discussed. Life is more important. When I talk about disaster management, your in like lifeline structures, water, power, road, all of these should be available after the earthquake. So we just can't afford to not look away, from the matter of resilience, from the matter of resistance, from the matter of safety. I think that we have to change that method a little bit. So far, we have been going by the other method. Ki some country has given the design, we have followed it. But our behavior, you have seen the pictures I've shown you from Sikkim earthquake, from Doda earthquake, from Kashmir earthquake, from Bhuj earthquake, all the earthquakes I showed you. But I personally think that we have to give priority to safety. थोड़ा एक बार इसमें थोड़ा बदलाव लाएंगे तो we will improve the entire ethos. Time we can save in other aspects, planning, execution, in terms of choice of design, simple grids, simple formworks, uniform column sizes, वो सब कर सकते हैं. But not in terms of basic connections between structural members. वो वाला we cannot sacrifice. It's my plea to add this one item in the dictionary of development from now on, safety.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else who wants to ask or comment?
So I had a request. Can we request Mr. Murthy to share his presentation with the participants, please, for reference later on? That will be helpful.
Yeah, I'll send you that. I'll send you that copy.
Sir, we will get it from you and put it on our website so everybody can see.
Okay,
great. Thank you so much.
All the participants, please note down your name, mobile number, email ID, and construction agency you belong to for sharing it.
CPWD officers, if they want to ask or comment.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good. Bhagat Singh, go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon. I am Bhagat Singh, Chief Engineer. This question is to Dr. CVR Murthy garu. Sir, we had a brief interaction. I don't know whether you remember. Once
yes, definitely. I remember.
Small earthquake occurred in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. You were part of the team, and I got a privilege to be part of the team. You led the team, and you came from IIT Kanpur. Sir, my first question is, when you are mentioning about requirement of full-scale testing, do you mean each project specific testing is to be done? Suppose once a particular technology is ratified after full-scale testing, do you mean to say that
it is to be type testing, which means it is once only, once for the technology. That's all. Once it is done, then it can be utilized any number of time, any projects.
So to that extent, can you say, sir, which are the few technologies of precast construction which are already ratified through full-scale testing, where we can feel confident to go about?
As of now, in the country, we have not ratified any technology. Okay, so my suggestion is, of the basket of technologies we have, we can put them in 5-6 sets, and for each set we can do a series and then qualify that set. And then do for the next set one more series and qualify that, and so on. That is what was my roadmap, that we should do it in a gradual way. It should be possible. And organizations have to come together, partner with each other in the cost that will be incurred. In any case, this is going to be a national R&D project. Nobody is taking home a rupee. It is only for the development of the truth, for the purpose of developing standards and safety in the country.
And the next question is, till we are fully satisfied about a particular technology, based on confidence we are deriving from its use in other countries, like you were mentioning earlier, can we define a dividing line, safe zone within which these technologies can be adopted in terms of number of stories or importance of the buildings? These are the categories within which we can adopt these technologies safely. So beyond that category, suppose beyond particular number of stories or beyond particular zone, say zone 4 and above, these technologies we need to adopt after getting doubly sure about its veracity. Would you like to define a kind of a dividing line, safe limit up to which these can be adopted safely?
No, we have been doing this in the past, but my approach is not that, because I know that Indian environment is very different. Not all structures are going to be built by CPWD, and the officers of CPWD are distinguished officers. They are trained formally. There's a tutelage, younger colleagues work with seniors, seniors teach the younger ones. That's not the practice in the rest of the country. And that is why I'm a little worried that anything that we say from this office will be used immediately, and we don't necessarily have the backup of a rigorous R&D or rigorous engineering experience that CPWD has. That is why I'm saying, let us start modestly. Let us approve a few technologies this year, few next year, and then go forward in a steady path. No ladders. I want ramps, and go it steadily. Because nothing can happen in just overnight's time. You bring a technology from a country which doesn't have earthquakes, that's a trouble. You bring a technology from a country that has earthquakes, very good, but we don't have the people who have that experience of using that technology. Right? Not many of us learn the full end-to-end of implementation of a technology properly here. Even if they do, the artisans are different here. Right? So the level of engineering support is different here in this country. We don't have competence-based, professional practice. That is why we have to tread the whole path very cautiously.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Tough situation. Tough situation.
Sir, one clarification I want, sir. I am from Leh, CPWD. As you said that in MNIT Jaipur and in IIT Kanpur, you already have a testing facilities and few of the structures have already been tested for G+.
No. They have been waiting. आएगा आने वाला आएगा करके इंतजार कर रहे हैं सदियों से.
They haven't yet tested any even a single prototype.
अब शुरू करेंगे क्योंकि कोई ग्राहक आएगा तो तभी तो आएगा काम होगा.
सर हम बनेंगे आपके पहले ग्राहक.
अब यहाँ आइए.
श्योर सर, श्योर.
हम तो बस आपका इंतजार करेंगे दोनों जगह पे. I was at Kanpur and I am also with Jaipur. I know that both of these facilities are waiting for serving the needs of the nation. इसीलिए तो हम बनवाए थे. I'm associated with both of them, and I was very clear that in time to come, technologies will have to be verified, and that's why we got these two built.
You have created a facility, but yet it is to be not even a single case has been done so far.
That's because the sahi waqt aana chahiye. There should be appropriate environment for right things to happen. Intents are all good in place, but the right time has to come, and this is the right time because the nation is asking for the new technologies.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Sir, may I add to your point, sir? Pradeep Kar from CPWD, sir. Without naming the few organizations, sir, who are into the precast construction, sir, presently what they are doing in private sector in particularly, sir, they have done some typecast or typical joint precast joint testing in other earthquake labs other than MNIT and IIT Kanpur, sir. There are a few more, it, sir. And then based on that results interpretation, they are then propagating their technology, or I'll say they are selling the technologies. They have not been a full-scale tester. They have been typical beam column joint testing or a beam slab joint testing, sir. So how correct is that to depend on that to go ahead with the technology, sir?
Yeah. That's up. Even I have tested beam column precast connections at IIT Kanpur myself, and I can tell you in the lab we do all the nice things, but we do more than what is required at site. Our fear is the way it is implemented in site is not the way we are actually making the specimen or testing them. That is our fear. And we use very robust column sizes and beam sizes in our testing. But that is not what is happening. Very slender members are coming in the practice actually. That is our worry. It's the same beam column connection. If the column size and beam size becomes 100 mm smaller, game is over. It's a completely new dimension altogether. So I would say that when it comes to precast, experience has shown time and again, Killari earthquake, 1993 Killari earthquake in the whole of that region, that Marathwada region, there's one precast school and that fell down. One precast school, छोटा सा एक ही डब्बा था, वो गिर गया है, right? गुजरात earthquake में गिर गया है. So, and Armenian earthquake, you name it, America's earthquakes, Northridge and Loma Prieta, Kobe, precast. Japanese have slowly moved away from precast. They've gone into more formal systems. So are New Zealand. They try, They try doing a lot of testing. For example, now they're trying to use pre-stressed wires to allow the shear wall to rock and dissipate energy. But they have not come up with it yet. Still in the R&D stage. 12 years are over for that strategy. अभी भी रिलीज नहीं किए हैं क्योंकि आई थिंक पेशेंस किसी और की जान जोखिम में है ना, अपना नहीं है, इसीलिए they want to be very careful.
Sir, I have a small clarification, sir. Sir, I am Ranjit Singh from CPWD. Sir, we in the CPWD, basically the implementing agency, and we follow the certain guidelines issued by the BIS or maybe the institutes like IITs and other things. Now, in your presentation, you have given certain guidelines for some of the technology, which itself in the question, sir. And whether the guidelines is sufficient or not, because if something is there in the guidelines, and when at the implementation stage, when we ask for something else, how it can be implemented, that becomes a problem for the.
आप थोड़ा precise हो जाएं. Can you be precise? Can you be a little precise so that I can understand your question?
Like in the precast construction, you immediately pointed out that there is an assumption of the monolithic construction at the joints, which is not correct and which has to be questioned, sir. But suppose some agency comes with and gives the design that I have assumption, I have designed this building as per the BIS codes. How the people sitting on the implementation stage, maybe in the private sector or in the government sector, will question that until unless the guidelines is sufficient or is strong enough from the institutions and particularly from the authorities like BIS, sir.
Yeah. I agree with you that I have said this right at the beginning that I'm not happy with the code, the clause that was written, and that we need to revise that and modify that. I agree with you. As of now, you are not able to question that part of that. That BIS ने कहा analysis monolithic समझ के कर लो. Please don't question that one till BIS changes that document. But ask for testing. हमें पता है कि monolithic और precast में बहुत अंतर है. So जब भरोसा वहां कम है लेकिन सरकारी तौर से वहां से डॉक्यूमेंट आ गया तो हम प्रश्न नहीं उठा पा रहे हैं. तो इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं कि आप दूसरी तरफ से एक्सपेरिमेंटल वेरिफिकेशन ले लीजिए, कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड कर लीजिए. That is my request.
Excuse me, sir. This is OP Tripathi from Bangalore. I am ADG Bangalore, sir. Sir, if a particular technology is tested at Kanpur in full scale, say the Leh project with the approval of DC, if it is a precast technology or say engineered construction, then after the testing, I mean, will you take it to make the standards, or will that technology be approved for that project? And I mean, it will not be, that testing will not be useful for other projects. If the standards are developed after that, and if the existing codes are contradicted with those technologies or modified, then it will be useful for other places also. And then the whole purpose of the testing shall be useful, sir.
Yeah.
Will it be, I mean, will you take up for the making the standard for that kind of technology, sir?
Ji. In Bureau of Indian Standards, CED 39 Earthquake Engineering Committee, we have already embarked on the task of preparing the testing standard, testing of earthquake testing of structure standard. In that, pseudo-dynamic, dynamic, quasi-static, component system, all the aspects are, we are telling you the sequence of testing and the method of testing and the loading protocol, all are being stated there. When anybody does a test, they have to follow the same procedure. Jaise, for example, cube testing kaise karna hai, there is a procedure given, all of us have to follow the same, then we'll get this similar comparable numbers. If one uses higher rate of loading, they will get higher compressive strength, and those numbers will be not in keeping with the norm of the material strength. So likewise, in testing also, there is a specific procedure for testing that is being written. As far as we are concerned, we are aware that we have to slowly walk in this direction. So first testing का standard हम develop कर रहे हैं. Based on that जो studies होंगे, studies के आधार पे हम standards भी approve करेंगे in BIS CD 39 for earthquake resistance. हम non-earthquake कम देखते हैं, earthquake resistance ही देखते हैं. But we will walk in that direction with you. And that is why I'm saying it's a partnership between CPWD, between BIS, between these institutes which have those test facilities, and with the industry, which is the center space. They are the final technology providers. साथ मिलके काम करेंगे सर, हो जाएगा. समय लगेगा, लेकिन हम तंदुरुस्त हो जाएंगे. In about 5 years time, we should be in much better shape if we start.
No, sir, the net result is after the testing of one structure for a particular technology, will that be useful in general for CPWD or not?
Yeah, see, this is what even DG Sub said. What we are going to test is not one structure, a series with all variabilities in that. And finally, the technology of that type will get approved with some minimum requirements and some conditions on it. If the conditions are satisfied, the technology will stay for CPWD for all its other implementation projects. But if those conditions are changed, then it will be called a new technology.
Thank you, sir.
Ji.
So this Samir Bapat here again. I had a query with regard to the statement you made about कि जो lab में होता है और जो site में होता है, there are two entirely different scenarios. So with that, I wanted to check with you. Of course, this pertains more to the cast in situ technology, which is our tunnel form technology also. See, one of the basic criteria for me to start stripping is where I do the cube strength. Okay, if the cube strength shows me requisite strength achieved, only then I can proceed with the removal of formwork part. So there I wanted to check with you, instead of depending on whether the conditions are same for the cubes which are tested, in say a lab, and what is actually happening with the concrete which has been poured in place, entirely they happen under two different conditions as such. So is it a good idea to go for in-place sensor which will give you the actual strength of the concrete which has been poured? Is that a good idea, or is there another alternative method to achieve the same result?
Yeah. Normally, the cubes have to be cast right next to the structure, along with the structure, the same batch. And after that, the Indian standard for the testing of the cubes has to be followed. And we trust that that has been followed. When I was saying that the labs and the experiments don't, the field practice don't match, it was not in the sense of cubes. I pray that they are following the Indian standard for it. But it is the specimen. For example, in lab, we will say we will take the dowel bars going from beam to column, and bottom bars go top, and top bars go to the bottom of the column. In practice, that's not possible, because the new specimen, that is new top column that is coming, doesn't have any continuity with the beam reinforcement. So it is a different situation. हम जब वो test करते हैं where the bottom bars don't go up, we get completely different results. We have done both the cases where there's a continuity of bottom bars going into the top column stub and the other way around. But we found that the results are radically different. That is why we feel that this is a subject which has to be done very carefully. And instead of testing sub-assemblages, we would like to test systems, because overall kya hai, the rocking of the specimen, if there is a specimen here and then there is a lift off that is going on like that cyclically, I would like to see what is the impact of that in the lateral deflection. 1. What is the impact of that in the energy dissipation? 2. What is the impact of that in the cracking of the members when they go and sit on edge like that? Will that locally get damaged? These are the issues that will come out nicely when you do a full-scale test.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Ji.
Sir, I'd like to ask one more question, sir.
Ji.
Sir, we want little clarification on the type test of the technology on the full-scale basis, sir. Suppose, sir, I do one testing in MNIT laboratory, sir, of a precast building which have a span, say, a typical story height of 3 meters, typical span of horizontal span of 4 meters, the rate of concrete say M25, sir, and maybe a little bit of architectural configuration, sir. Okay. Now, when the same technology provider comes to me at my site, and I have a building plan where the grade of concrete is M45, sir, the vertical height has gone from 3 to 4 meters or 5 meters, sir. The spans have increased from 4 to 10 meters, sir. So will it be called a typecast or not? What is actually the definition of type testing of a precast building, which will be acceptable to all, sir? Yeah.
See, if your story height goes from 3 to 3.3 meters, 3.5 meters, that's not so much of a worry. Story height goes from 3 to 4.5 meters, that's a worry. What happens when the column gets lifted up like that? if the column height is 4.5 meters versus 3, the lateral deflection that will go will be much higher actually. And that is why the performance, the P delta effects, that means center of gravity of the structure will actually move farther away by larger amounts and cause more compression and tension actions in a taller story structure. And that is why we are saying that there will be a limit, a range within which that will be acceptable. जब ये series of tests करते हैं, उसमें ये भी एक variability लगा के हम करते हैं. जैसे 3 मीटर का है, तो इससे छोटा करना कोई चिंता नहीं है. बड़ा करने के लिए we will do another 3.5 meters का story height also. And that is how we say that within this range, this is looking good. We can use it for that. है ना? We don't have ओपन सिस्टम की भाई एक बार बीम कॉलम वॉल सिस्टम टेस्ट हो गया सारे वॉल्स के लिए हो जाएंगे, नहीं ऐसे नहीं करते हैं. Wall systems within a certain aspect ratio, we will be able to say that that is fine. Yeah, as we do the test, no, as we develop the design of the range of specimen that has to be done, this can be carved out and say that within this bound. देखिए वैसे भी आप हाउसिंग के लिए एक सीरीज होता है, अचानक किसी भी हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट में कमरा 6 मीटर का नहीं हो जाता है, 3 से 4 मीटर हो सकता है, लेकिन 6 मीटर का नहीं हो जाएगा. वो होता है तो वो नया टेक्नोलॉजी माना जाएगा. Large panel precast is office buildings and small panel precast is residential structures. And in international practice, they use 6 meter, 8 meter large panel precasts also. And they will be categorized as an industrial system, not as a residential system. For residential 3 to 4 meters में एक range कर लेते हैं, 6 to 8 में दूसरा range करेंगे, ताकि industrial और office systems में भी use हो सकता है.
So, sir, when you will release the report of the full-scale testing, will you give the range, sir? So, otherwise, sir, it will lead to our confusion at site.
Yeah.
Or maybe
so ये जो investigation study होती है, वो पूरा range में करके उसी range में applicability का वो approve मिल जाएगा आपको.
Also, in the same point, sir, when we are doing a full-scale testing of a 3-story with a typical, say, flat in between, sir. Suppose I have a shear wall which is not coming or touching to this particular flat unit, sir. Then how that particular lateral component will be taken into model, sir?
Yeah. So 2 tests होंगे, एक with the wall, एक without the wall, दोनों करेंगे हम. Or we will look at the fact that the one with the wall will give you lot of lateral resistance and थोड़ा analytical work से भी जोड़ के फिर इसका उसका रिश्ता निकालते हैं. So we will look at it individually. See, the shear wall will control how much is the deflection, lateral deflection. जब non shear wall structure को टेस्ट करेंगे तो उतना ही deflection डालेंगे, उससे ज्यादा नहीं डालेंगे, क्योंकि the stiffness is controlled by the shear wall. तो हमारा testing will get tuned for the non shear wall का जो टेस्ट होगा उसमें it will be controlled by the shear wall वाला टेस्ट का deflection से ये control होगा.
Sir, I'm Askesh Srivastava. My question is to Dr. Murthy, sir.
Ji.
So I wanted to know to what extent we can substitute this actual testing with the computer simulations. So
no,
that we
zero,
reduce substantially.
Zero extent.
Thank you, thanks.
This is in precast, pre-engineered, zero extent, because आज तक एक भी test नहीं हुआ है. How can you really extrapolate from monolithic? नहीं हो सकता है. When we do a large number of precast and large number of tests, तब एक experience बनता है. देश में experience नहीं है. Monolithic में experience है. उसमें हम इतना करने के बावजूद भी फिर गलतियां करते हैं हम. एक दो यहाँ वहाँ छूट जाते हैं हमारे हाथों से, कहीं नजर से छूट जाती है. Monolith में we are having difficulties. For example, you see all those collapses. Those are all man-made violations.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. I'm Sinu here from L&T.
Ji. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Now the question is, you discussed about the full-scale models. For example, 3-story or whatever. Now, with that, whether we will be able to extrapolate and build high-rise towers?
Yes, good question. So what typically happens is, when we have a 20-story building, we take 3-story segments along the height and then test them. Now what will happen? As you come down, gravity load increases. So when you're doing the lower 3 stories, you will have to put a lot more lead weight on top of it for testing that. As you go to the roof, you remove that lead weight. But we can do pairs of 3 stories in the bottom, in the middle, and in the top.
No, my question here is, see, especially for the precast, there are a lot of discussion were happened at IIT level with the international professors and everybody. And many people, many of these experts as concluded, like, it is better to do a joint test rather than going for the full scale model. And
Yeah,
based on that theory, based on that suggestion, there are a lot of tests happened at SERC at IIT. And those professors has agreed and done that proof checking, validated the design. Based on that, there are government agencies like DDA and CITCO, other people have accepted those details, and based on that, the work is going on. Now, if you go by the theory of full scale model, because there are a lot of applications that we will not be able to extrapolate this full scale model for the high rise buildings. So individually they wanted to build that kind of prototype joint detail with a different materials, joint materials are used. So all this as testing has happened in a large scale. The industry has spent a lot of money in that. This has been done. Again, it is based on the suggestion by the professors. Now suddenly now we are looking at full scale model is the only option to validate the design. Is it the right thing?
Okay, let me answer this question. First of all, past is not a testimony for future.
This is not the past, sir. This is the
wait,
present.
wait.
We are talking about the
you have
present.
to wait, right? And we have collapses in India, precast single story.
No, let us not go back to all those things.
Okay,
we are talking about
what
the
is
right
it?
to
What is left in the country?
Listen,
if you don't look at collapses, what can I discuss?
No, listen. I am only giving you what is happening in the industry.
Right,
now,
listen.
you are going back to the past.
Wait. Okay,
now
hold.
Means,
you can't cross. You have to stop, and then only I'll speak. Go ahead and finish your words.
No, my thing is.
You have finished your words. You have to hold for some
second.
time. You listen to me, then I'll listen.
Let me add this also. This is happening in the industry with all these IITs are involved.
I'm talking about IITs. Can you hold for a minute? I'll talk about IITs. You go to any institute, you will get some advice. It is your wisdom whether you want to use that or not. As far as governments are concerned, they have made a mistake of saying professor of IIT, NIT signs any document, it is approved. Right? We are having enough embarrassment with that. There are good people who do rigorous work and make suggestions. There are people who will give you suggestions. Choice is yours. Wisdom is yours. If a certain government organization has taken the approval of a professor as the final word, it is their decision. You are not talking to me as a consultant. I am not a consultant for you. I am talking to you as a citizen of India who is interested in safety of the people of India. You want to follow the safety route, you talk to me. If you want to follow the other route, I don't want to discuss the subject. I have been invited to give the best suggestion. I am giving you the best suggestion. It is up to CPWD to take the decision, suggestion or not. I am not worried at all. I've lived 30 years saying this same thing. Suggestions were not taken, so it's okay. I'll finish my career with this, no problem. But the fact is, next time there's an earthquake and precast constructions fall down, don't come back to me. And don't talk to anybody. Go back to the full-scale testing route and make sure that the structures are safe from that day forward. We have to start someday, Mr. Sinu. You just can't go on as fast as the testimony for future. New technologies have to be dealt with fresh, not by eliciting expert opinion. Expert opinion has its place. When experts have not done any testing, their opinion has no place.
Sir, I think you are taking it personally.
I'm not taking it personally.
No, 1 second.
I'm not taking it personally.
1 second.
I'm worried about the nation losing 3,500 school rooms.
No, 1 second, sir. Hold on with thoughts. See, what I said is, there are so many industry already set up in India. Everybody has consulted these professors.
So you follow them now.
1 second,
I'm
sir.
not coming in your way. You follow them.
No.
I am not mandating.
See, then
I
who
have
is
suggested that
who
it
is the
should be
authority?
used for technology development.
Then who is
it
the
is up to
authority?
CPWD to mandate or not. I am not asking them to mandate.
Who is the authority in India? Then who is the authority
Mr. Seno, please, I mean, at least either you listen or you speak, and please maintain the decorum of this internet-based discussion. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Chauhan Sahab has been raising hand. चौहान
गुड
साहब।
मॉर्निंग सर।
सर कैसे हैं?
तो देख के बहुत अच्छा लगा सर, आज काफी एनलाइटन किया आपने। आपसे
नहीं,
इंटरेक्शन
आप
इस बारे में होता रहा है सर कंटिन्यूअसली।
नहीं आपसे मिलना है,
जो
विल कम एंड
आपकी
कैच
वजह
अप।
से हमारी वजह से सर।
जी
कुछ आप कहना चाहते हो चौहान?
सर मैं बस हेलो करना चाहता था मूर्ति साहब से, 4 साल इंटरेक्शन रहा साथ में,
या वी
क्लोज
वर्क टुगेदर। जोधपुर का प्रोजेक्ट साहब ने किया है तो वी आर एवर ग्रेटफुल टू हिम फॉर दैट।
थैंक यू सर।
I learned so much with you, चौहान साहब, so thank you once again.
नहीं, हमने आपसे सीखा है सर काफी।
नहीं।
और आपकी वरीज बिल्कुल जेन्युइन है सर। इंडस्ट्री कुछ भी कह सकती है लेकिन आपकी वरीज बिल्कुल जेन्युइन है सर।
Yeah. We can't shirk our responsibility of safety, sir. That is my only request. That अब वक्त आ गया है, अब हमें करना है, अब करना है।
और कोई है या क्या? What is the timeline? When do we close?
1 बजे तक।
सर मेरा एक सवाल था CPWD से।
हाँ,
सर
कौन
अभी
बोल रहे हैं?
जिग्नेश कौर फ्रॉम कॉफर कंस्ट्रक्शन।
Please identify yourself.
हेलो।
Yeah.
सर मेरा CPWD से